Hear me? Do I need to talk louder? Is that good? All right. Very well. Well, first off, I'd like to thank you for coming out on this beautiful evening. When we schedule these, we really can't predict kind of the weather conditions, so I appreciate the fact that you took the time to come out and talk with us today. I'd really like to keep this informal and really this is much about talking with you and having a conversation and understanding what your thoughts and concerns and issues are and how that fits in with where we're going. And so for us to start that discussion, I kind of want to talk a little bit about Bandera Electric Co-op, kind of what we've done here over the last year or so since I've been here, and more importantly, kind of where we're going. But again, like I said, I'd really like to hear from you. And then the reason I wanted to have face-to-face meetings is, I think we all get kind of consumed and overwhelmed with the emails and text messages and advertisements and a variety of cyber platforms. And I think really the best way to communicate and the best way to really have a good understanding of the information is really through a face-to-face dialogue. So I hope that that's kind of what we have tonight. I've kind of entitled this Preparing for Tomorrow because there are a lot of things going on, and I want to really kind of hit a lot of different topics. I'm not going to talk a long time, but I do want to explain kind of what we're doing, give you some context, and then the floor will be yours for questions. So we're going to talk a little bit about Bandera Electric Cooperative and by the numbers, which is just really kind of defining who we are, where we're at, what we're doing. Talk a little bit about our system reliability. I'll talk about time-based usage and what that is and why that's important. What we're working on with renewables. We have a prepay program that we're getting ready to launch, and we'll give you some more details on that. And then LED lighting, which is probably one of the things that we're seeing the most significant changes in, and why that's important. And then lastly, we'll talk about Operation Roundup, which is a program that we want to encourage all of you to participate in. It basically involves just rounding up your power bill to the next nearest dollar, and then taking those few cents that is, and basically allocating that to a charitable trust fund and pays that to charities to help out neighbors who need some help. So anyway, we'll just go ahead and get started. For those of you who are new or not new to the area or don't know, this is the area in the dark black circle is pretty much our service territory. So we serve areas here, Bernie and northeast of Bernie, up through Comfort, up just to the southern part of Kerrville, around the city of Kerrville, of course Bandera, Medina, and areas way west out to Lakey, Utopia, Vanderpool. Over 2,000 square miles. So it is quite a substantial land area. And as you might expect, the areas west of Medina are much less populated and much more rugged. But it does present its unique challenges. So by the numbers, right now we have 24,000 members, those being people who are actually voting members. We have 34,000 meters. So obviously, we have more meters than members because a lot of our members have more than one meter, especially in some of the big branches and areas. They'll have, I know of a couple customers that have 7, 8 meters. So that's the reason for that difference. We have 4,500 miles of line. Most of our load is residential. Certainly we're serving a very rural area, except for the areas around here in Bernie. So we see a lot of residential growth. Most of our customer growth is 1.5% is located in 3 main areas. Here in Bernie, we see growth. Out in the Lakey area, we see some growth. And we also see growth in Bandera, and some of the subdivisions in Bandera. As far as our members, we actually added only 1%, about 277 new members, 537 new members, or services or meters. The important thing, I think, to take away is kind of the dramatic changes we've seen in the financials. In 2013, our net margins were $1.238 billion. and we're estimating net margins in 2014 at almost $5 million, $4.8 million. And I think a significant part of the contribution for the increase in net margin are the improved efficiencies we've made at Bandera Electric Cooperative. We implemented a quality improvement process that every employee is involved in at the company. They're all on quality improvement teams. We kind of borrow some of the techniques from lean manufacturing world as far as quality improvement, process improvement. And this kind of breaks down, just shows you some of the efficiencies we were able to gain just through process efficiencies. Almost over $1.7 million. And you know, obviously that $1.7 million goes right to the bottom line in net margins, which is a real good thing. We're actually to the point this year, we had a board meeting yesterday, and we're talking about the level of margin we have and what we should be doing with that. So for the next few months, we're evaluating what options we have as far as adjustment of margins, rates, equity capital, credit payouts, all of those. So we're really excited and pleased that we were successful in 2014, and we're looking for ways to pass that back to the membership. As far as reliability, I think obviously one of the questions that comes, well, you know, it's what about your system reliability? Is, you know, if you're not spending enough money or if there are issues with our reliability. And what I wanted to show you really how fortunate we are at Bandera. And so this is a diagram which basically looks at system reliability across the nation. Now the top is called the System Average Generation Duration Index, SAIDI. And what that basically is it looks at the total number of hours that we have outages times the number of people that we have divided by the number of hours in a year. So it's basically looking at a system level of, you know, how long were people out of power? And that's, in other words, how many hours of customer hours were out that, you know, did you have outages? In this situation, the lower the number, the better. Obviously, when you're looking at outages, you want to have a low number. You don't want to have a high number. And so the black curve at the top shows the upper quartile. The left-hand column is the actual number of minutes per year that customers were without for that system. So as you see the legend down here, the red line in the middle is the U.S. average for electric utilities across the country. And as you can see, the average utility across the country is about 200 minutes a year per customer. Okay? In Texas, it's a little bit better. The green is the state of Texas, and you can see it's about 175, but in 2013 it jumped quite a bit, most likely due to the ice storms that we had toward the end of that year. But in the same time frame, you see that the cream color line, the one with the circles, that represents what Bandera Electric Cooperative's reliability numbers are. And you can see that we actually got better in 2012 and 2013 to the point where we actually passed the lower quartile, which means we're in the top tier as far as reliability. Well, you know, and I think that it's real important to understand is if you look nationwide, this is a slide that shows all 963 electric cooperatives in the United States and the average, the SAIDI numbers. And you look at Bandera, and ours is 70.75. And what that means is that on average, all of our members, if you were to look at it, were out for 70 minutes a year. That's how that's calculated. But if you look at what the median is in the United States, it's 190 minutes. So if you look in Texas, it's 224 minutes. So you can see that from a reliability standpoint, Bandera is one of the top utilities, the top electric cooperatives as far as reliability goes. For some of you, you're probably aware that we recently unveiled a new time-based energy rate or usage, which basically fluctuates based on the time of day. And so I wanted to kind of explain this, use this chart to kind of explain why this is an important option. So just bear with me here while I pull this up. The first thing I want to describe is that this chart is represents the wholesale market here in Texas. Okay? The blue line, which is the actual load for Bandera Electric Cooperative. So that's our aggregated load by every 15 minutes of the day. Now, the way it is set up in Texas, Bandera Electric and our members, we're responsible for paying for the prices as they fluctuate throughout the day. Now, up until recently, electric utilities didn't have the technology to monitor every 15 minutes what's going on in their systems. So what they did is they established average rates to represent an aggregation of how much energy was going to be used and at what price. So what we have is established this, what I'll call the wholesale electric price, this red line. And basically what that represents is that's our estimation of the average of up here, the 9628 and the 2402, and then basically throughout the whole calendar year. So that you don't see wide variations in price in electricity, because people don't like to see that. They like to see stability. People like to want to know, that it's going to be the same rate every month. Now the problem with that is, this is just really an estimate. And so we have to make adjustments if it's not exactly following the red line. And as you can see, the electric usage for Bandera Electric Cooperative does not follow the red line. In fact, this is pretty typical for all electric utilities. During the heat of the day, this is October, that what you'll see here is like this is 6 o'clock, between 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, when people get home from work, that's when the system peaks. This is very consistent with other utilities. This curve, this daily curve, is pretty representative of what happens every day. So what we've tried to do with prepay is, or not prepay, excuse me, time of use rates, time-based energy rates, is basically try to follow a little closer this curve. And that by doing that, we're actually exposing and giving you a price signal here that hopefully will change your behavior. If I charge you a lot more for energy based on what it's actually costing me, and you decide, you know what, I'm not going to need to use energy right now, but guess what? Your cost goes down. And not only that, all of our costs go down. So I just wanted to show you, this is the kind of, in one slide, kind of shows you kind of how the market works, how rates work, and so why it's important that we take advantage of time of use types of rates, because you actually save money. The next slide I'll show you actually shows kind of the savings our average customers get. And the first couple months, I think people were still learning kind of what this was all about. Really what time of use rates are is, I'm going to say your cost is going to be very high during the peak, but that peak is only going to be 2 hours a day. So what I'm encouraging you to do is use as much energy as you want, except for those 2 hours of the day. And so if you can either pre-cool your house, or you can make sure that you don't have heaters and pumps and electrical appliances coming on during those 2 hours, there's a good chance you're going to save money, which is the case, because most of our members now are saving about $7 a month, just by a minor change in how they use the energy, when they use the energy. Moving on to renewables, we have several activities going on with renewables this year. We're right now looking at a community solar project, and we have a couple different locations, and we'll be expanding that. And what a community solar project is rather than you building photovoltaic and putting it on your roof or putting it on your property, this is an option where instead of doing that, you can invest in a community solar project and buy certain panels at a site that is a little larger. Okay, you're actually an investor, so you're basically investing in solar energy. You buy panels; those panels are your panels. They're in a common or a community area, and then each month you actually get revenues back on the energy that's produced by those solar panels. So in some areas you can take advantage of the fact that there's an economy of scale. The more panels you can put together, obviously the costs come down. It helps with that. It also provides people who may not have $8,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 to put in a full photovoltaic electric solar system, you know, you may only want to invest $1,000. So it allows people for a small incremental amount of money to actually have solar energy. So we think that might be a good option. We were also looking at the rooftop PV offerings. As you probably are aware, cost of rooftop PV photovoltaics is dropping and it continues to drop. So, you know, at some point here pretty soon, we're going to actually see it cross the cost-effective line, I think, because they are getting much more efficient. They're much more higher quality as far as duration and length of their lifetime. So we believe that in the next year or two, you're going to see some rather dramatic improvements on photovoltaics. Lastly, we're looking at adding renewables into our actual portfolio, our portfolio. Our contract with LCRA allows us to buy up to 35% of our energy on the open market. And so we're currently evaluating some very attractive renewable projects to help diversify our load, our energy supply. We also, this year, will be piloting a smart thermostat program, and we're going to be looking for volunteers. So if you want to volunteer, we think this might be a good option for you if you're interested. In essence, what we're trying to accomplish with smart thermostats is that much like the time of use or time-based energy rate, where you're trying to follow the energy prices in the market, a real-time pricing signal that you get from a smart thermostat, the thermostats are now smart enough to understand not only your habits of what temperature you like and when. You've probably heard of the Nest thermostat, and there are other ones out there. Honeywell has one of them. There are several of them out there. But these thermostats now are truly internet, Wi-Fi enabled and smart devices. So they actually can communicate back and forth. And what we want to try to do with this first pilot is learn behaviors of how we can integrate ERCOT transmission, or the ERCOT wholesale electric price into your thermostat. And so if you kind of just bear with me here. So in essence, you would basically we would install a thermostat. We'd have whoever we decide, it's whether Honeywell or Ecobee or one of them, Nest, come out, install a thermostat in your house, a smart thermostat. You would be able to program the thermostat with your smartphone or your cell phone. And what we would ask is for your participation. We'll be glad to do that, but we would ask for your participation is we were going to start sending you alerts when ERCOT wholesale market prices start to rise. So we'd like to see kind of how much influence, you know, people and smart thermostats can have on moderating price during high price times of the day. So it's a real interesting project because what smart thermostats give you is it's a convenience for you. They're smart. You don't even have to think about it or worry about it. You know, eventually that thermostat or that smart device will actually be integrated at some point to the ERCOT market price. And you'll be able to set the price and say, you know what, if the price gets over 6 cents a kilowatt hour or 10 cents or whatever the level you choose, I want you to start cycling off things. And then you don't have to mess with it. And so that's I think the real attraction of the smart thermostat program. They also have low or smart devices for water heaters as well. But later this year, we're going to be trying to encourage some people to volunteer for our program. So if you want to volunteer, let us know after the meeting. I keep saying prepay, so now we're to the prepay slide. The prepay program allows members to pay in advance for their energy and pay as they go. Again, some of these programs are available now only because technology has enabled it. Again, you know, it used to be that, you know, the electric utility would read your meter once a month, and then they would send you a bill, and, you know, you get surprised every time you open the bill. Now that's not the case. We read every meter every 15 minutes, and what we're doing is now developing programs and projects and plans to help you, the member, utilize this information, control it the way you want to control it. So we're basically enablers. We're helping our members utilize this technology and use this for their benefit. Again, this isn't for everybody, but the people who are on prepay around the country really like it. Okay, and especially like in towns where they have colleges, because you have students going in and out. But what we really are doing here is you're prepaying for energy. You basically, just like online, you would swipe your card, or you would pay for $25 of energy. That would be communicated back to us, and we would then send a signal to your meter to turn on, and we'd start ticking away, and you'd start counting down. And at a certain set point, you might say, okay, send me a text message when my energy gets to $10, when I only have $10 left. And then you can go back on and up some more, or let it expire. The other key here is that this no longer then requires a deposit, because we're no longer giving you the electricity before you pay for it, which warrants the deposit, because you're prepaying for it. So to a lot of people, they don't want to pay a deposit. This is another mechanism. The data says that most people save about 12% on energy, and that's because they're monitoring it. They actually are looking at it, they're thinking about it, and so as people are thinking about it, using it, and looking at it, they're actually saving energy. Lighting is one of those things that is very rarely talked about, because it's not a real big ticket item, but there have been some really significant improvements in LED lighting. LED lighting used to be just for Christmas lights, and it was kind of nice because you could actually leave them on and not burn the Christmas tree down. But they've really improved now to the point where the prices have dropped dramatically. I was in the Home Depot the other day, and I can buy a 60-watt LED light that screws into a regular lamp for $5. Okay, and it used to be like $30. So they have dropped dramatically in price. And so here's why that's important. This slide comes from the EIA, which is the Energy Information Agency of the U.S. government. And what it's doing, it's comparing this gold line is an incandescent light bulb. Now, the incandescent light bulb, as we all know, was invented by Thomas Edison 130 years ago, and which was a monumental, disruptive technology and invention. So much so that it really hasn't changed. Okay, nobody's really tried to improve it until recently. The problem here is, in this light bulb, is very inefficient. It only converts about 10%, uses about 10% of the energy to actually make light. The other 90% goes to heat, and we all know that, which is also why they don't last very long. Now, recently they outlawed these, of course, and they've moved to the blue area, which is the compact fluorescent lights. And you see they're much more efficient, 55 to 70 lumens per watt. But likewise, they're still not real efficient. I mean, that really doesn't get you where you need to be, because these are also expensive. Now, the LED lights have come on just in the last 3 years, really. I mean, as far as for home applications. They started off very expensive, but the prices have dropped dramatically. And not only that, their efficiencies have increased at the same time. So you have the combination of dramatically improving efficiency of the LED as well as the price reduction. So what does that mean? Well, what does that mean? It means that your average incandescent bulb that's 10% efficient and lasts 750 hours, you have an LED light that's now 90% efficient and lasts theoretically 20 years. And they last that long because they don't generate heat. And it's a diode, it's not even a bulb. Okay, so it is truly a different type of device. So let's do the math. So if you're able to buy a 60-watt LED bulb for $5, you're going to save about $4.28 every year for that light bulb. Now, if you look at a 20-year life, that's $135 you're going to save. And if you change out every light in your house, and on average, the average house has 45 lights, you're going to save $193 a year. So it's not a big ticket item, but it's every little bit helps. And, you know, when you start thinking about packaging these programs all together, getting a real-time pricing, getting prepay, getting LED lighting, it all adds up to save you money. And so, you know, we wanted to really just kind of come out and talk about these programs because these are very important to Bandera, and we think they're important to our members. If there are things that we can do to help you guys save money, be more efficient, we're going to try to do that. Again, we view it as enabling you to manage your life better through better energy management. The last topic I just want to talk about is Operation Roundup, and like I mentioned earlier, we will basically be offering, this is a voluntary program. You don't have to participate, but we'd certainly like you to. And it's really just going to round up, you know, your electric bill every month to the next nearest dollar. So, you know, you're talking 50 cents a month on average. So if you have a meter, you're $6 a year. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but with everybody doing it, you'd be surprised how much money it will generate. And really, we have people in need in our neighborhoods. They're our neighbors, they're our friends. You know, they don't like to talk about it, but we do have people who need help. This is a good way to do it. It's not a lot of money. It's not a big financial impact, but it's a big help to our neighbors and our members. Like I said, it's not going to be distributed by Bandera Electric Cooperative. There's going to be a separate Bandera charitable trust formed, and the money then will be given to that charitable trust just as voluntary. So again, those are just a summary of the projects and the plans that we have for 2015 and what we're doing, and we're really excited about it, and we'd like to hear the feedback from you and other things or concerns you have. So at this point, I'll turn the mic over to you and answer any questions you have.